Welcome back to Sex at 10. I'm Rebecca Rosenblat, your host, here to answer questions about love and lust. So give us a shout and let's chat. Everything's fair game. Cheating, body image concerns, relationship or intimacy questions, orientation issues, sexual dysfunction. The only stupid question is an unasked one. Joining us tonight is relationship coach Denise Charles, discussing sexual confidence. So be sure to take advantage of the opportunity to call in and chat with her on such a crucial subject matter. So Denise, we were sort of talking about communicating desire in a way that our partner can hear. Another thing that I hear a lot is when people say my partner doesn't get me off, my partner doesn't give me an orgasm, when I both know that an orgasm is not given, it's taken. So let's talk
women empowerment.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about that next, about taking responsibility for our own orgasms, because some people, it's so sad. A couple will come to me and she'll say, he doesn't give me orgasms, and I'll say, what do you mean he doesn't give you? Are you not taking them? Do you know how to get yourself off? And the female will say, actually, I don't know how to get myself off. Then it's kind of unrealistic to expect him to know. So can you talk about that next, taking responsibility for our own orgasms?
Yes, Rebecca, that is very much grounded in the whole idea of expectations. We have an expectation that the man is going to take charge of our body and give us this orgasm. And as you're rightfully saying, we have to understand that this body is ours. Yes, we are sharing it with our partner, but this is our body, and we have to be conscious and aware of it. We have to know how to move it. We have to know how to maximize it so that it gives us the maximum pleasure. So even though I understand the concept of wanting to be a part of the orgasm with your partner, you want your partner to share, in that experience that you're having, you need to understand that you have to own it. You have to know how to move your body. You have to know how, if for you it means being still, because women experience orgasms differently.
Absolutely.
And if there was one mantra I could ask women to repeat, it would be, my orgasm is my responsibility. And I think we need to understand.
Way to go.
My orgasm is my responsibility, the new mantra.
Yes.
Rebecca, yeah. We have to understand what we need to do, but that comes out of body awareness.
And you're
knowing
so right.
where we want to be touched, how pressure, exactly.
How you want to be touched, and it varies from one time to the next.
That's right.
What felt good yesterday may not feel good today.
Exactly.
And I say
sometimes an orgasm is quiet, sometimes it's explosive. Sometimes it might be multiple, it might just be one. So, there's no one way, and we need to become comfortable with that idea as well.
Exactly. And, you don't want to do it just one way, because you are going to get bored of it. So I like the idea of kind of owning our own orgasm. It really critical. And also, I want to talk a little bit about taking responsibility for initiating. So not just the orgasm, but even initiating sex. Because I have so many couples where, as I'd mentioned before, one party is doing all the initiating. They get tired of it after a while. And then the other party says, oh, okay, so we're fine. We don't need to do this anymore. Not realizing that they are dying inside. Just because they're not bringing it up, it doesn't mean that they've suddenly stopped craving it. So can you comment on that next, please?
I think that we have to be able to put ourselves in our partner's shoes, because if you think about it this way, if my husband never approached me for sex, I'd feel that I was undesirable. I would think that something was wrong with me. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, so if I'm putting myself in his shoes, he's going to feel the same way. If I never reach out to touch him, he's going to think, well, is she not turned on by me anymore? Doesn't she find me attractive? So I think we just need to step out of ourselves, stop being so self-centered at times, and walk in our partner's shoes and understand it's not just about the sex act, but it's about communicating desire. You desire this person, you love this person, so you want to connect with them physically. You want to connect with them emotionally. You want to be with them. And even though your body might not always be up to it, or you might be tired, I think working that into your relationship where you do reach out first. It is very, very important.
It is. And if we really want something, we do figure out a way, no matter how tired we are, to, achieve our goal. Another thing that is really important for people to realize is, and again, I'm not making sweeping statements that are going to create a bigger gender divide, but as far as our brain is concerned, by and large, sex is to men what communication is to women. And lots of people don't realize it. So I say to women who just kind of cut the guy off, it would be like him saying, you know what, I don't feel like talking to you anymore. Months go by, I'm not going to talk to you because I don't feel like it. It would be the equivalent of that.
That is excellent. That's right.
Yeah, I'm certainly not suggesting that, you know, you force yourself to have sex when you don't feel like it, but at least taking the responsibility to initiate it. I also like the idea where you talk about with females, because female sexuality has been repressed for so long, and we're talking about giving ourselves the permission. So can you please talk about sexual confidence next for men and women, but particularly with women, because guys are encouraged ever since, you know, they're yay high, boys will be boys, but women have a harder time owning sexual confidence. So can you talk about that next, please?
I think that it's a gradual process for some women. Then for others, it might be just, you know, it might be more immediate based on their upbringing, based on their exposure to sex. I think, however, that as women, we have to understand where we are at individually, and I think it will cause for some reflection. If you find that you're timid and you're intimidated about sex, maybe you can spend some time reflecting, why do I feel this way about sex? Why do I seem to lack sexual confidence? Is it about how I look? Is it about the fact that I perhaps had a bad sexual experience when I was young? You know, did I go through abuse? What is it that is causing me to have this fear with respect to sex, or this lack of confidence? And I think after a solid reflection, then we can perhaps be in a position to walk through it a bit differently. We might have to discuss it with our partner, but I think it requires us to think about why we feel the way we do before we can actually seek change.
Absolutely, and that's a really important point. Why do we feel that way, particularly if there's any kind of abuse involved? Because that trauma is not just going to go away. You have to work with therapists, you have to work through it, and not stay stuck within it, and that's serious stuff, so very important. Now, last but definitely not least, can you give us a quick synopsis of your book before you go, and tell us how our viewers can grab a copy?
Okay, my book is How to Have Mind-Blowing Sex Without Losing Your Brain. It is available on Amazon.com. So if you go on Amazon in the Kindle store and you just type in my name, Denise J. Charles, please use the middle initial. That's very important. It will come up, and you can just order it online. It really looks at the issue of sex and sexuality. What is it? Why do we feel the way we do about sex? How can we have the greatest sex ever, but really about understanding and connecting with how we were taught about sex, how we learned about sex, and how we can use that knowledge to make our sex lives better.
I absolutely loved it. I couldn't put it down, so highly recommend it. It's so well written, and it's always such a great pleasure to chat with you. So thank you,
Rebecca.
again.
I really
Until
enjoyed
next
being on
time.
your show. Thanks so much for having me again.
Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, wishing you lots of luck with all the great stuff you do. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Rebecca.
We're going over to you, James. Good evening. What is your question for us tonight? Hello, James.
So my question was how to stop ejaculating a little bit too quickly.
Okay. So you're struggling with premature ejaculation. How quickly do you ejaculate from, you know, the time that you sort of start thrusting?
Probably 3 minutes or so.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a few things we can do about that. Do you use condoms, James, or no?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you can try, if you like, there's a special condom from by Durex. It's called Duramax. It's specially designed for just that. It has a little bit of numbing gel. An even better agent is something called Promescent, and you can go to promescent.com. It's Promescent. It's a great agent, and what you do is you spray it on your penis about 10 to 15 minutes before you actually start having sex. It penetrates to the lower layers, so you can even wash the surface and it won't transfer over to your partner, but it can really slow you down. It's specifically designed for that, and it's one of the most fantastic agents that's out there on the market because of how it works and it gets into the deeper layers. Another option is, so this peak-like junction right here, that's the frenulum. That is the most sensitive spot on the entire penis. So what I would recommend is you can take just the tiniest little dollop of something like Oragel, which is a teething gel, and you can put it right here. Just massage a little bit in here. What that'll do is it'll desensitize that area ever so slightly, so that it feels like the rest and it's not over the top. Another thing you can do is putting pressure at the base. You can put pressure at the top. Now, does this happen when you're engaging in self-loving solo play as well? Or can you be slower there? James?
No, I'm slower when you're asking when I'm masturbating.
Yeah, are you slower then?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so take a lesson from there. So, when you're masturbating, 10 is when you explode. 8 and 9 is, point of no return. You're not really going to stop at that point. So what you can do is when you're stimulating yourself, you can take your arousal to say 7, bring it down to 4, take it up to 7, bring it down to 4, and just kind of play in that range when you're on your own and learn how to gain a little bit better control. Another thing you can do is when you pee to the count of 3, hold to the count of 3, pee to the count of 3, hold to the count of 3. And that also gives you a little bit better control. But those are some of the things that you can start off with. It makes a huge difference. Any one of those things can make a difference, but kind of play around and see what works for you. But promescent is one of those things that most people say, I tried other things, but that was the best. I've given you a lot to think about, so you can always go to my website, relationshipandsexuality.com, and there's a section on free downloads, and there's one there on premature ejaculation. So it talks about some of the stuff that I've mentioned right now. But I would just kind of on your own, just play with taking your arousal up and down so that you have an idea of what it is that you need to do when you are with a partner. And, you're excited, it happens, and not to worry about it too much. 1 in 3 men are going to experience it at one point or another. So I hope I've given you some tips to get you started. Thanks for your call. Viewers, we'd love to hear from you. Whatever your questions or concerns, whether it's relationships, sexuality, dating, body issues, confidence, whatever it is, pick up that phone and call. It's a great way of getting expert advice. Tyson, we're going over to you. Good evening. What is your question for us tonight?
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
I'm just in a new casual encounter. I've seen this girl maybe 3 times now.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering what I could do with foreplay, whether it be oral sex, breast play, just to get her a little bit more looser when we have sex.
Okay. So have you had sex yet? You've been hooking up?
Yeah, we've been hooking up. She hasn't complained any of it, but it's just like, it just feels very tight, feels very restricted when I go inside.
Oh, okay. So she's kind of clamping shut. Are you able to penetrate her, though?
Yeah,
okay.
But not really fully the way I need to.
Okay, so if you couldn't penetrate her at all, then we could be looking at vaginismus, where the muscle just cramps shut, and that can be anything from fear to past history of sexual trauma, but that's when you can't even penetrate. So what's possibly happening is maybe she's a little scared, maybe she's self-conscious of her body, or it could be that maybe you guys didn't spend enough time on foreplay. So if you spend a lot more time on foreplay, like when you think you've spent a lot of time, spend even more time. What that does is the inner 2/3 of the vagina balloons, the cervix flips out of the way, and the musculature in the area, it kind of relaxes. So you can spend more time. One of the things that I would recommend is buy some lube, something simple, water-based, like maybe Astroglide, or there's a non-friction, that's a really lovely water-based lube as well. And what I would do is just kind of take some on your fingers, make that as part of foreplay, where you just kind of play around the outer lips, just play around with lube on, and then just as these lips are getting puffier, you maybe put your finger just barely inside and play around inside, so you've got more lube here as well. Go around the clitoris, but not bang, bang, bang on it, but just kind of play with the area with lube, so she'll get lubed up outside and then inside. So if she's lubed up, then it'll be easier for you to slip in, because people can be really, really excited and still not get lubricated for any number of reasons. So, if she's not getting her 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, depending upon her diet, whether or not she smokes and drinks, if she's taking medications, antihistamines at this time of the year, they don't just dry you here, they dry you down below too. So if there's any kind of dryness, that can certainly make it difficult. But it sounds like she may just be kind of clamping because she's a little anxious. How is the rest of her body, Tyson? Is the rest of her body relaxed, or is she feeling a little tense all over?
I guess she's kind of relaxed, but I could feel like she's a little bit smaller girl than I usually see.
Okay.
So I feel around her rib cage, I could, like when we're having sex, I could feel a little tightness.
Okay, so it seems like she might be, just because it's a new sort of situation, that she's not quite comfortable yet. Women can be really self-conscious of their body. We were talking about that earlier. And if a woman is self-conscious of her body, then she's not going to be able to relax. And sometimes people also end up putting themselves in a position so they look their best. I have so many female clients who couldn't even have fun. They couldn't relax because they wanted to present themselves in a certain way. They wanted their breasts to look a certain way, so they'd arch their back. Or they had turned their hips in a way so that their presentation was good. And, you know, there's a thing called spectatoring, when a person is just kind of looking at their body, making sure the presentation is great. But if you let her know that you love her body, you enjoy her body very much so, that's going to kind of make her feel better, relax. You can even just take your fingers and just stroke gently. You can stroke the sides of her neck. Instead of straight strokes, you can do sort of curvy strokes. So curvy strokes on the side of her neck, maybe gently kind of move across her body, trace, instead of like zooming in, trace the outline of her arms, and then maybe, you know, around her nipples. Lots of women just absolutely love nipple play. Not all women do, but the only way to find out, because no two women are like, they're like snowflakes. You'll never find two that are like, but you can kind of play with her nipples, all around the nipples. Gently flick either your tongue or just the tip of your finger across it, and see if that, you know, her breathing quickens, or, you know, she's moaning or she's getting excited. That means her nipples may be her on buttons, and if her nipples are on buttons, they're going to require a lot of stimulation. And also, you can just ask her, does this feel nice? And just as you're stroking her, does this feel nice? Do you like that? And just kind of pay attention to her response, but do ask her. It's perfectly okay to say, does that feel good? Do you feel comfortable enough to do that with her, Tyson?
Yeah, like I do all of that. The few times we've had, like, she really enjoys the oral sex. So
Good.
Everything is good there. It's just really a matter of, like, when we're actually having sex, it's like, okay, like, all the positions I'm not able to, like,
yeah, because if it's hard to penetrate. So one of the things that she can do is, and you can kind of start off and then let her take over, is if she uses your penis to masturbate herself, so you may use your penis to kind of play with her clitoris, and then take her hand and put it on your penis and let her play with it. Because what that'll do is she knows how to get herself aroused and how to get herself relaxed. So that might make a difference, and she might get to a place where she's really aroused and you kind of slip in. Another thing you can do is, if you guys take a bath with either tea tree oil or lavender oil, it really relaxes the muscle. So even if you try to tense up, it really relaxes the muscle. Tea tree oil, it's more relaxing, but it's also a stronger smelling oil, so you may want to start off with something like lavender oil. It does make a difference, but if you're doing oral sex, I mean, that's a biggie, because about 70 to 75% of females are not going to come from vaginal thrusting alone. They need clitoral stimulation. So it's good that you're doing that, but I would just kind of ask her for feedback, and no matter how slow you think you're going, slow it down even more. Tease her. Even when she wants you to go and tease her a little bit more, you can't have it yet. And when she's hungry for it, that's when you penetrate her. Okay, Tyson? So give that a shot, and if it doesn't work, call us back and we'll troubleshoot a little bit more. Okay, so give that a shot, and thank you for your call. Viewers, we'd love to chat with you, whatever your questions, your concerns. Maybe you have a question about you know, how to get it on, how to fool around. Maybe you want to know about your own body. How can I arouse myself? How can I take myself to that place? Maybe you're struggling with either porn or sex addiction. Whatever your concerns, whatever your comments, we'd love to talk to you. So don't be shy. Pick up that phone and let's chat. Tyrone, we're going over to you. Good evening. What is your question for us? Okay, we're just waiting for you to get ready. In the meantime, I just want to mention something. If you are a couple that wants to take their relationship to the next level, next weekend, I am hosting a couples intensive. If you go to my website, you can write me through there, and I can give you the information. And it's all about connecting, about taking your relationship to the next level if you've lost the connection or you just want to get it on better. Okay, so go to my website and contact me, and I can give you more information. Tyrone, I guess you're ready now. What is your question for us tonight?
Yep, so the question is, how can I deal with getting a harder ejaculation?
Okay, so you're finding that it's not powerful enough?
No.
Okay, so are you coming too quickly, Tyrone, or are you trying to kind of prolong it? Because you might want to prolong it. So a few reasons why people can say, okay, my ejaculation isn't as strong as it could be. One is if you are masturbating a lot, or if you're making love a lot, then what's going to happen is, you do kind of reach a level where you sort of tap out. So it's not going to be that powerful. Once you've taken the edge off, all subsequent times would be less and less powerful. Another thing can be sometimes it can be, medications that you're taking. Antidepressants will sometimes do that the ejaculation isn't as powerful. Some people can have what's called retroverted ejaculation, or retrograde ejaculation, when they try to stop the ejaculation and they're trying to control it. You do ejaculate, but it kind of goes backwards instead of coming out. So if that's happening, you may not feel a full kind of ejaculation. It can be other issues. Are you really healthy? Because it can be a cardiovascular issue. Are you healthy, Tyrone? Are you really fit?
Yeah, I like to hit the gym a few days.
Okay.
Try to get a good pump on.
Okay, so, hopefully your cardiovascular health is okay. But if you are concerned, you can always ask your doctor just to make sure that everything is okay. But my hunch is maybe if you're ejaculating a lot, or if you're taking any, you're not taking any steroids if you're doing muscle building, are you? Because that can also have a huge impact. Are you taking any kind of steroids, Tyrone? With your bodybuilding?
Steroids meaning with injection? I take pills, but that's not really steroids, right?
Yeah, well, some people who are into building muscle mass, they will take things that can also interfere. So, talk to a doctor if you're concerned, but it could be that. And if you kind of hold off, let's say you don't masturbate or do anything for 3 days, and then when you do kind of, maybe you masturbate and you bring yourself close without letting yourself quite spill over, and kind of make it last and last and last, and see what happens then. But if it's still not happening, then just chat with the doctor. And also, if you have celery, raw celery, it can also kind of increase the mass, which can increase the pressure. So I hope that helps you. We'll be right back. Call in to discuss anything and everything involving sex or relationships. But better hurry if you want to avoid the disappointment of us not being able to get to you. And don't you dare go channel surfing, because we have loads more stuff coming up right here on Rogers TV.